So there is no concern. You know, I've talked a lot about Zapman's career throughout my career. You know, he's been around for longer than I have, and his ability to show up in big games is always something that's really impressed me. He's never let the moment get the better of him.
Layers, a chance to make waves in Game 3. Yarkour will dodge out the cap. He jumps back in.
Whoa.
Benji taking a lot of damage. Med is pulsing through. Dropkick against the wall. Yarkour has got first blood. Layers, he might be the second. The Atlantis Leviathans have grabbed first blood in Game 3. The root's important, but it is not good enough. Panatom off to a 1-0 start. So's Yark.
Yark just can't be stopped, man. This guy is an animal. He's a beast. Are you kidding me? He jumps back in. He's just waiting for Layers to expend the cooldown. Just waiting for them to make the mistake. And then goes in 2v1. Just knows his damage value so well. He knows that I can buy enough time for Panatom to get here and make the difference in this fight, and baits it out perfectly. A beautiful start for the Leviathans.
Now the Tartarus Titans, they got to lean on their jungle again. You got to bounce back in a moment like that. You need to look towards the sides of the map where there might be some susceptibility. But where is that now? Yarkour and Panatom off to a great start on right. Rongyu has got this Yamoja back over here on left. Big moments. Layers level 4 right now. You tick over to level 5. That's when you start looking at this new Bastet ultimate as maybe making some differences early in this game. But Aggro, they got 4 sets of beads to deal with on the other side.
4 sets of beads. And it's not like the old Bastet where you just have that capability to deal damage and the beads don't really matter. If that ultimate gets beads out, it's really not doing very much. And that's if you land it, which as we've seen has not been a guarantee, and Layers is behind because of that great play that Yarkour just made.
Absolutely. And Benji has been a stalwart player for this Titans team so far this year, Aggro. It might need to be as well again this year. Zapman has connected with Aurora with his ultimate, and Aurora will crash down into the River's Rebuke. We saw this so many times in game number 2. Panatom just running down Cyclone Spin.
Paul's here.
Oh my god. Paul, he rotates in. Great players make great plays in big moments, and Paul has made 1 here in game number 3. Zapman gets up, down. Another kill over to Paul. A double kill, but Shinto rotates in late, and he'll grab himself 1 as well.
Hunting for Paul on the transformation. Paul has gone north, but I don't think Shinto's going to have enough gas in the tank. This cursed orb giving Paul some movement speed. But Shinto is a soul, so he'll have some of his own with this apparate, but that's going to do it. Overall, still, I think a great fight for the Leviathans, because I think they're just winning this mental game until Rongyu has made a mistake.
Rongyu stuck around on that red buff, tried to solo invade it himself. What the storyline of Game 3 is nuts. Paul off to a 3-0 start in a must-win game on the Morrigan. You are staring down a 5-kill Leviathans team with all of those kills spread out, and Paul has got a killing spree to start the game. The weight of this situation on the mid laner of the Titans cannot be understated.
Absolutely huge. And now Yarkour does have his ultimate, but still in a bit of trouble. Good pounce back there from Layers, because Panatom's feet were hunting his head in that position. But it's still a blue buff secured by Yarkour. Yark still ahead over here in this lane. And you're right to set it up, Dave. It's Paul versus the monstrous beast that is the Leviathans right now. He has got to continue to make these plays. And if you're the Titans, this is where that presence has got to come in, that veteran calming presence, and say, hey, we've got someone with a lead. Paul can carry this game. We know he can. We just have to fight around him. Every fight that doesn't have Paul plus other members of the Titans involved
shouldn't be a fight.
Shouldn't be a fight. Unless the Leviathans are diving your tier 2 tower. Like, give up the rest. Give up the rest at this point. Paul is the hope right now for the Tartarus Titans.
And Paul starts off with that Doom Orb, as you had mentioned. So you talk the ability to rotate throughout this map, additional movement speed, impacting other lanes quicker. Paul has got it. And Aggro, there's some good transformation targets for Paul as this game goes on. Camazot's very popular. The Nike is often a transformation that we've seen. You think back to... Actually, you think back to the Titans themselves. It was Cthulhu plus Morgan for a while. Cthulhu started getting banned against these guys, and then it became Nike plus Morgan. This is a traditional style of composition that the Titans are playing, their own traditional style.
And they've got the Gilgamesh, which is what Paul used on that rotation, which is also excellent. So if Panatom's going to get big, and he's got 100% kill participation, 2-1-3, he's going to have the farm.
Layers is here on the left. Silence is massive from Aurora, and Layers jumps in. Layers starting to get the wheels spinning a little bit. Zapman has just not been punished all set long in lane, ever. Now Zapman goes down twice to start off game 3, and
Massive.
Finally, a kill lands on someone else other than Paul. The Dharmic Pillars, yeah, great for setting up a kill. Fantastic at setting up an objective.
Absolutely perfect. Just what the doctor ordered for the Tartarus Titans. Could not go any better. Get the kill on left. Zapman had 5 seconds left on his beads, and you know he's staring at that cooldown. Awfully mad that they aren't up and ready to go. The silence into the stinger, into the damage from Layers. Couldn't be any easier for him. Well done by the Tartarus Titans. And then to go and grab the Gold Fury, absolutely perfect. You know Shinto is vacuuming up as much farm as he can, and a lot of that farm's available on the right-hand side.
True.
Means he's not going to be there to help contest. So a good start to come back now for the Tartarus Titans, who were down by a pretty substantial amount for the early game.
Yep.
Now, less than 1,000 gold just a few minutes later.
Shinto's, you mentioned, been able to stick in the mid lane, farm up a little bit. 1 level lead over Paul. The rotation's out. Tend to lose you a little bit in the farm game, and that's where Shinto has made up some ground here, though, call it half a level, as Paul ticks over to level 10 as well. The supports in this game have also both been hitting what they need
Zap
to.
again.
And Aurora setting up onto Zapman. Cyclone spin being peeled out by
No
Panatom.
shot.
Zapman fighting on the back. Panatom puts down Cyclone, and no chance Zapman turns this one around. Wrong you, rotating into the back. The stun is there.
See ya.
Ultimate out, and Zapman sends Aurora to the grave.
And Layers can't even do enough to come in and get the kill, though he picks up Panatom, gets the beads. At the end of the day, it does not matter. The Leviathans get 2 more, and just when they thought they could keep Zapman down, my man's is used to having people come to the lane. He wants the fight to come to him, and Zapman and Panatom make it happen. 2, 2, and 3 in a massive level lead for Zapman.
Yeah, call it 2 levels for Zap over Cyclone spin. And the way that the game started on the left, we're thinking we're on easy street all of a sudden. Cyclone spin and Aurora, they can get the ball rolling. Layers makes a rotation over to left, makes Zapman pay. We're thinking the left side of the map can breathe for a moment. But Panatom in back-to-back games on this Gilgamesh, what do you end, like 7-1 or something like that in game 2? Off to a 3-1 start here in game number 3. Great start on the right. And that gold lead, aggro, you mentioned it. Call it 7.5, 8 minutes in, near to even. Right back down to 2K in the XP. Not much better.
Shinto might be in trouble here. Paul around the back, Layers there, but Shinto just dodged out the stun by going forward. All gas, no brakes.
Yarkour is coming around the backside of this fight. Panatom doesn't quite have the damage to win it right off the bat. And so it looks like what we thought would be a disengage in mid is instead a kill for Yarkour. And now it's bad to worse for the Tartarus Titans. Paul has just not been able to get involved after a 3-0 start, and the influence is spreading. Panatom, no chance, we're doing it again. We have done it again. Aurora will again be the last one alive. Winds of Shamash again will save his life. The Leviathans again will find 3 kills.
You just cannot keep getting away with this, Panatom. How does he keep getting away with this? He's jumping in to an AMC. He's half HP and still able to survive because of wrong use healing on this Yamoja. Panatom testing those limits absolutely perfectly. 9 out of the first 10 kills in this game have Panatom's stamp of approval. And not to put the cart before the horse here, Dave, but after game 1, you know, you start thinking about how this set's going to go. Who would be MVP if the Leviathans win? Panatom did not have a particularly good game 1 on that Erlong Shen, but he has been so dominant these last 2 that he's put his name into that MVP conversation.
Agreed. And Tartarus Titans, they've got to have a whole team MVP here in game 3.
How is Yark 3-0-2?
We're on the way down right now for the Titans. The Leviathans, they are so close. The year they've had, the storylines around this team, it is time to make a play. If you're the Tartarus Titans, Yarkour is turning around the damage.
No, he doesn't.
Players, bat out of hell. 1, no good. 2, it's good.
Unbelievable. He nearly 2v1'd it, but now he's got Rongyu in tow. Yarkour still standing.
Yeah,
finally. No, he didn't die.
He didn't die.
He's still alive.
He's in the Dharmic Pillars. He might not die. Yarkour
Oh
lives.
my God.
Yarkour lives. Yarkour lives. He stays alive in the solo lane. It is bad to worse. It is ridiculous. The Leviathans are rolling. Yarkour gets the 3-piece. The team of arrived.
Unbelievable. Yarkour is here. 6-0-2.
Look at the smile. Look at the smile. Come on.
That is crazy. This man didn't even play this role to start this year. He was playing ADC when this year started. And he just won a 3v1 basically until everyone started coming over. Look, Rongyu on the emoji goes absolutely bananas in that fight. I mean, just breaking his 2 key in order to get those mending waters out, but it doesn't happen without Yarkour playing it absolutely perfectly.
That man just staring down the red buff. He does not
Layers
care.
is dead.
No chance.
Layers
No
is
chance.
dead.
Come on. Everything for the Leviathans right now. Nothing for the Titans. He will crash down to earth. And
Goodbye.
the Leviathans are on Dream Street. Zapman will be soloed down by Cyclone Spin, and a breath of air, a momentary glance of sunlight for the Tartarus Titans as Cyclone Spin will put Zapman down for 30 seconds.
Okay, I think my heart rate has lowered enough to watch Yarkour's play back because that was absolutely insane. He's down
But
a
he's
level to
dead
start.
for sure, right?
Yeah, he goes. I thought he was dead. There were just such a mass of bodies in the midst of this. But as soon as he landed that 2 on the layers, I was like, oh no. Oh, no. It wasn't looking good for him. Baits them back perfectly.
Ugh.
Sets them up for Rongyu.
How low does he get?
I mean, he is
500,
just healing
200,
for sure this whole time, man.
195.
And he starts standing on the pool. Once Layers goes down, that Camazot's passive kicks in, that death pool, 22
health.
HP until he just noms his way back up and ends this fight at like full HP and the triple kill.
I mean, it's
Crazy.
a dream. You're telling me I'm a Ganesh and I've rallied 3 guys in my Dharmic Pillars? What a dream, right? Yeah, anything but for Aurora in this
Nightmare.
one. He corralled the Leviathans, but that's where the Leviathans wanted to fight. Yarkour, you talked about MVP conversation. He might have just pulled it back in his favor. Here's an engage onto Rongyu, but Panatom is in as Peel. This is a 2 versus 3 as we stand. A jump in from Paul, who's transformed into the Camazot. But the Dharmic Pillars don't do much. Shinto, has he been quiet this game? He's only 1-0. The rest of his team is playing out of their minds. He does some good damage. And that's a disengage from the Titans.
And that's about as good as it's going to get for the Titans.
A
A lot of
disengage,
missed
right?
abilities, but here goes Primal Fury getting low. Aurora knows he needs to make the play, but Panatom shows him the door with the heel of his boot. Perfect play by the Leviathans.
The Atlantis Leviathans aggro. We are 14 minutes and 15 seconds into game number 3, a potential ender in the Season 8 Grand Finals, and the Atlantis Leviathans are playing out of their minds. They are around 5,000, 6,000 gold in the lead of the Tartarus Titans. And think back to what I was saying last game. This is not the style of lead in this style of game that the Leviathans tend to fumble. If we're giving a glimmer of hope, though, to the Tartarus Titans, their chance at coming back in this set got to be in the same place it was before.
Yeah, it's got to be Paul. He's still 3-0. You got that going for you, I suppose. He stayed close to Shinto, but, I mean, he finally has Divine Ruin. Finally, maybe they can kill Yarkour through some of this healing, but, again, they're low in that department. Layers has gone Transcendent second. The idea to try and stack that up, it's like it's just a pipe dream at this point. He's not going to have the time because the Leviathans are going to be breathing down his neck in order to get his farm and his jungle. I mean, Yarkour has the Katakeya shield. That's going to be perfect for what he's doing. I mean, you just have so much sustain to chew through, and so far the Titans don't have enough. Now, Layers does have a mace. If that isn't Brawlers, then you might be finishing this game on your own. Benji finally gets Pestilence. You know, we're starting to get there, and I'm assuming Aurora is going to get an Ankh. But they're down 7,000 gold at 15 minutes. You're really looking for Paul to make an outnumbered play, because in any 5v5, there's no world in which the Titans can win.
Agreed.
Unless Leviathans make hardcore mistakes. Paul can, with this stealth character, create outnumbered engagements, a 2v1, a 3v2, not against Yarkour, because we know that he wins those, but maybe on the left side of the map, maybe against Shinto. You've got to find an angle, and it can't just be this, oh, we'll farm it out, we'll farm it out, we'll farm it out. You've tried to farm it out the last 2 games, Dave, and the Leviathans have absolutely owned you in those 2 games. I think you've got to try and get something going. You can't just wait for the smite to happen around you.
Yeah, I don't think the Leviathans are going to give the Titans much of an opportunity to sit back and farm it out. We have been brawling from early in this game. The closest we got was a big Paul turnaround on the left side of the map. But Yarkour, everything he touches turns to multi-kills, it feels like. Rongyu can't be understated in that department either. We're considering Fire Giant aggro. We're 17 minutes into this game. Gold Fury's 2.5 minutes away. The playmakers have stepped up for the Atlantis Leviathans. There could be enough damage to force a fight around the FG, and admittedly, I'm not sure the Titans are going to be able to step forward and call them on it. You got an exposed Phoenix on right as well. The win conditions to lifting the hammer are in place for the Atlantis Leviathans right now. The path, if you are the Leviathans or one of their fans, is very clear.
I mean, you look at how this Fire Giant fight could go. The Leviathans are likely waiting for Zap to get Executioner so that he's going to be as strong as possible on the actual objective. I mean, Cyclone Spin isn't even close to that itemization, I'd assume. So I like the idea there for the Leviathans, but you have to be very wary about Paul. I mean, that's where Morrigan can really eat, man, is
that's
just
right
coming around the back.
Yep.
Tons of different corridors to come from. Very hard to ward all of her starting points because she can walk past wards while in stealth and they won't reveal her. It's only whenever where she's quote-unquote taking off from with that stealth. So maybe if Paul can come around the back, maybe Zap and Shinto group up a little bit too much, two-man stun, double Dark Omen, transform into the Nike, maybe things can happen. But that's, I mean, that's a long checklist of things I just said in order for it to be a good fight for the Titans.
The weight of worlds on the shoulders of Paul right now at 3:01. The Morgan has made big plays in this game. You've got a lot of people to shut down if you're Paul and you're looking at the Atlantis Leviathans. Panatom, who's been on an absolute tear, grabs a Spectral Armor, so suddenly Cyclone Spin. That Wind Demon dealing a little bit less to himself there. Shinto's going to be sustaining up in these fights as well. Yarkour has, for a long time now, had that Transcendence fully stacked up. Levels-wise, Benji only one behind, two behind in mid, one behind. You can't win in a head fight. You definitely can't win one when you're behind. And how about the rotation from the Leviathan? Cyclone Spin has been sat on by Panatom in back-to-back games. And the door is now wide open. 40 seconds on the death timer.
Cyclone has just been a complete non-factor this entire set. The Leviathans have said,
care about fire?
Paul's going to do his thing. We're just going to take Cyclone out. And when we saw similar ideas kind of started by the Scarabs yesterday, I really thought. Trying to take a page out of that exact same book, and the Titans have been absolutely clean so far. Why go for fire when you can take everything else without any sort of threat of anything happening? Oni Fury up.
Oh, no.
Shinto's here. 4 members. Only 3 members present from the Titans.
Aurora nearly walked face first into a Riptide. Surely the Titans don't want to take this fight, right? I mean, they're grouping up around the Oni Fury that the Leviathans are considering here. Playing things slow still are the Leviathans. Anyone steps up from the Titans, see the trap laid for Aurora to walk around that corner. Oni Fury will be pulled. Leviathans will get it without much contest. Paul is in range, stealthed up. Panatom will call him on.
Yeah, Panatom's going to jump in after him as well. Winds of Shamash down, and here comes Yark.
This has been the setup time and time again. Paul will transform into the Kamizata, and he will swoop away a defensive use of that transformation. We'll give a free Oni Fury onto the Leviathans.
And the Leviathans now playing it nice and perfectly. No reason to be anything but patient in this position. It's right in front of you. You just can't reach out and grab it quite yet. You got to show a little bit of patience.
This is the Zapman moment. This is the
Zapman moment.
The communication of Zapman.
Yep.
Big.
You see it all the time.
Like
I mean, all weekend, they've been jumping up. They've been yelling, middle of team fights.
Yep.
Zap has just been sitting there stone-faced. You know,
Job's not done.
Job's not done. And after every game, they jump up. Zap just does the little head point. You know what I mean? That's what he's been all about this entire weekend. And he's doing it again here, the mastermind.
A few locks on the door to the Smite World Championship. Fire Giant is one of them. The Tartarus Titans have shown some face.
Cyclone's not here.
But how much more will you show? Cyclone Spin on the left side of the map. Aurora jumped on, Riptide back. Shinto bursts Aurora down. There is no more Ganesh in this fight. Benji has to leap away as well. Fire Giant is taken by the Atlantis Leviathans. The River's Rebuke will go up. Yarkour uses the beads. He will chase down layers, and he might have the damage.
He's looking for it. He's going to need to land the 2. That one misses and picked up by Layer's ultimate. But you think it matters? You think Yarkour cares about any sort of ultimate or damage? I don't think so.
The only win condition Cyclone Spin sees here is pushing down this Phoenix on the left side of the map. There are still towers for the Leviathans to deal with. 1 tower for the Leviathans to deal with. They've got minions pushing down the right side of the map. It is going to be a 5v5 to end this game in the base of the Tartarus Titans. But this is a 4 versus 2. The rest of the Tartarus Titans are delayed on their back. This is the fight the Titans maybe have been looking for. Shinto is jumped on. Disapparate does its job. Benji with the Sentinel of Zeus. He does not have the
alive!
Benji does. The Rend from range will put down Shinto, and the mid laner falls.
Sap's pretty low. Gonna try and get away, but the damage from Yark is just too much. This front line staunch as always.
There's no way they can get away with this, right? You've lost Shinto. You've lost him already, and now the Leviathans rally around one another. The fight for the Leviathans is here. The winds of Shamash is down. Zapman grabs the kill onto Aurora. Benji throws up the shield. Panatom grabs another. It is time for Cyclone and Paul to go big.
Got him.
And Cyclone has done the initial bit. Bat out of hell swoops through.
Zap.
Panatom has got a double kill. Zapman fighting on the backside of the fight, and Paul makes a big play. It's wrong you. It's Panatom. The last two alive. Paul, you're a madman. The drop kick against the wall, and Paul's got a double.
Finally, the Tartarus Titans make a play happen. They wipe the Fire Giant from 4 out of 5 members of the Atlantis Leviathans. And as bad as that fight looked the entire time for the Atlantis Leviathans, I still felt like they were going to do it somehow. That they were going to somehow, through any way, win that team fight. And they still nearly did. But Paul just continues to be ice cold, man. 5-0-2, just unfazed in the front of it. And Dave, zoom out for a second after that play. That was a ton of shutdowns.
Yeah, give me a second.
four fires gone off the Leviathans, and take a look at the gold lead. 6,000 is less than it felt like, right? I mean, it's not the end of the game anymore for the Leviathans. They needed to play that a little slower, and it was really Shinto who heavily made that fight very difficult on that right side Phoenix. He's in the Dharmic Pillars. It was a great ultimate from Aurora. And instead of trying to just, your slow immune and disapparate channel, he could have just pressed 3 and backed it up. But instead, he greeds, he tries to get the Phoenix. He doesn't use his Aegis ahead of time. He just takes so much damage. It was great damage from Paul and from Layers. And then they just pop Shinto instantly, and he didn't get any value out of his life. And he's a level 20 soul. You've got to get value out of that. That was not very clean from the Leviathans for the first time, and it was really Panatom trying to defend. It was a good split push from the Titans, separate the Leviathans. That's what we said they needed to do. Then a good engage from Aurora and some poor play, I think, from Shinto in particular, that slows down the train a little bit for the Leviathans. They're still driving the train.
Of course.
But
it's taking some coal out of the engine.
It's a little cooler now.
A little cooler in the front seat of the train that the Leviathans are still in control of. Paul, I say great players make great plays in big moments. Paul makes one.
My God.
He's made many over the course of his career. Makes a big one there, stays alive to the end of the fight, gives the Tartarus Titans a fighting chance here in Game 3, a must-win. But the threats are abound for the Atlantis Leviathans. If nothing else, this is a delay, right?
Yes.
If nothing else, this is a delay. The Leviathans can't further push with that Fire Giant. I think you got to zoom out as well. You're talking about zooming out in the moments and what happens before that fight. It's an odd-numbered fight in the base of the Titans. There was a lot of time spent pushing up these towers, getting some gold back in their pocket. There's some win conditions now established for the Titans themselves as well. If another fight goes awry, there are 2 exposed Phoenixes and a lot weaker of a Titan on the other end.
And they've got a Polynomicon Morrigan. Normally your mage isn't contributing very much to killing Phoenixes, but Polynomicon makes a huge difference in those. It actually helps quite a bit. It makes you into a real threat on those situations. I mean, look, the Leviathans are nearly full build across the board. Panatom is full build, being 7-2 and 11 will do that to you.
Yeah, that's all right.
But the Titans, you're right. It doesn't take 3 team fight wins anymore. It could realistically take 1. If they were to somehow 5-0 or 5-1, the Leviathans right now, they could win. And I couldn't say that before the last fight.
Now we will group up what could be one final time in the Season 8 Smite World Championship Grand Finals. Fire Giant will spawn forth. As I finish this sentence, we are a few minutes away from it being enhanced, but the Titans rallying around Paul after a big team fight. Not win, but equal team fight on the right side of the map. It looks like they will show some face around this Fire Giant, but it's moments like this where sometimes an early pick, it was Shinto last time in the base of the Titans, you cannot afford to overextend if you're a player on either team.
Absolutely. Got to be really disciplined in this position. But the DPS is in the Leviathan's favor, and Panatom has hunted down Paul well.
The Fire Giant has been started. Yarkour is jumped on a great target. He's
Committing.
6-1 and 7. Fire
Aurora!
Giant low, and the Leviathans secure the FG. It's Dharmic Pillars that are down, and the Winds of Shamash is alone for Panatom on the back. Can you kill Paul at the start of this fight? Yarkour would sure love to, but Paul will transform.
Cyclone
Spin uses his Aegis, and now Cyclone Spin is the one who lives. Aurora is the one who dies on the other side. Panatom eyes the dropkick onto Layers, but they swap spots.
Wrong, you try to clean
no,
up
he's
Layers, and he's got nowhere
He's
to go. The Leviathans have killed 2, and the other members of the Titans have limped back to base.
It is Benji, it is Paul, it is Cyclone Spin against the worlds. The Atlantis Leviathans have all 5 members. They've got beads on 3. They've got Aegis on Zapman. They've got the hope of the world at their back.
Unbelievable. I wonder if they're going to try and go for the end here. No, not a huge wave coming.
Here they come.
But they've got a good amount of time until Aurora is back up.
Here they come. 15 seconds on Aurora, 30 seconds on Layers. You have to take a deep breath in a moment like this if you're the Leviathans. Aggro all year long. It's been against the Leviathans. They will walk into the Tartarus Titans base far ahead of this game. Last year, they were told they do not belong. This year, we were told they would fall out early. Say it 3 times for the 3 time. Vamos! Vamos! Vamos, Leviathans on top of the world!